So this is Ellen's Woolly Wonders again. We're going to do a talk today, a little demo now on knitting looms. So I make my own looms, and I make them out of oak, and I have several different kinds. This is called a rake, the single row of stitches. You can see this already has a project on it, and you can use that to make scarves or table runners. You can use it to make blankets, that kind of thing. There are then knitting boards, which is two sets or two rows of pegs, and in the knitting board you go across the pegs, so you are going to work across. The stitching is a little different. Then I have oval looms. This is an infant hat loom, and it'll make infant hats, much like this one. So that's an infant hat that came off of this loom, and when they come off a lot smaller than the loom looks. So the looms look scary big, but they're actually the hats come off pretty good size. And then I have sock looms, which are made, this one's a 54 count sock loom. And then I have adult hat looms. This is a 64 count adult hat loom. Now the hat looms you can use for a variety of things. All of these looms can be used for different purposes. You can make an oval hat out of this, or you can leave 1 or 2 pegs or 10 pegs open and just do a larger size blanket panel, or a table runner that's larger. So you can use it for a variety of purposes. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is this is a oval adult sized hat loom, and I've tied on to the peg closest to the top. That way I always know where my first stitch is. And I'm going to E-wrap around. So to E-wrap, you're going to wrap the yarn behind and around the front, behind and around the front. And I'm going to do about 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And once I get those on there, I'm going to kind of push them down. That's my first. I'm not going to go all the way around on this particular project. And then I'm going to E-wrap this second one again, and then go behind and E-wrap the opposite way on the way back. And you can kind of wrap on the yarn. I always kind of make a twist, a loop, and oops, doesn't want to go on today. Tie it on for myself. Okay, the reason I do that is because it'll unwrap itself if you don't tie it on. So for the E-wraps, you want to kind of keep that on there. So now at the top, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start by lifting the lower stitch, take it over the upper stitch. And I'm going to do that all the way down the row. And I'm going to kind of push down with my fingers as I go so that they don't slip off on me. And you're going to kind of pull up on the tension a little bit on the lower stitch. You're going to slip through there's a groove down the side of each peg, and you're going to kind of slip down between the two of them, pick that lower stitch up and pull it over the upper stitch. Okay. Then when I get to this first stitch again, I can E-wrap all the way around if I want. I can continue to do E-wrap. Let's just do that for now. You don't want to make it too tight. It makes it hard to take your stitches off. So okay, so I'm going to take the lower stitch and pull it up over the upper stitch all the way down the row. And when stitches are tight, we're going to kind of tug up on the lower stitch a little bit so that it gives you a little bit more free space. Cool. And then I'm going to E-wrap back. Okay, and when I do all of my stitches in E-wrap, I'm going to get a twisted knit kind of look. So this is a twisted knit, If you can see it when I pull it, they kind of pull tight. That's a twisted knit E-wrap stitch, okay? That's compared to a straight stockinette stitch, which doesn't pull across itself, it's even. Now to do a straight stockinette stitch, this is the same piece I was working on earlier. Instead of wrapping it, I'm just going to go straight across. So this one I'm going to want to tie off so it doesn't keep, well, I don't have to actually. I'll just hold it with my fingers. So you can go ahead and just kind of lift up and just go straight across. You're not wrapping that upper one up around behind. It's a little easier to do. I actually like the straight stockinette stitch for most of my stuff. The E-wrap is tends to be a little tighter. And then when you get down to the back one, okay, I'm just going to go straight back. I'm going to push these down. And I'm just going to go straight back. I don't have to wrap it or do anything at the end. I have two pieces there, and I'm going to just pick that lower one up over the top. All the way down. I actually like to do a lot of my stitches, my knitting with needles. So my three-dimensional stuff I do with needles, but for those people that don't know how to use needles, this is a really nice way to start to learn. It's great for kids, and it's good for people that are a little older. Like I said, with a knitting board, you're going to knit across. So you're going to wrap the yarn across the top, so that you're going to still have two rows of stitches. You're going to take all these across, and then you're going to go flip on the other side and take all of these too. The lower one always over the upper one. And then you're going to kind of push the whole thing down. And then you can wrap again. Been a while since I've done this one, so. And there are several different ways you can wrap these yarns to get different stitch, a different look to the stitches. And I'm just wrapping in figure of eights. Oops. And then I'll lift the bottom row over the top. And this, again, you'll end up with a different kind of look to it. And it's a double-sided, that's what's kind of nice about these, is you'll end up with a double-sided material. So that's kind of nice. It's real thick. Now, this particular piece was one done on a knitting board by my daughter. She doesn't knit, but she was able to do this double-sided scarf with a single strand of yarn, and she ends up with a lighter kind of area. This is the exact same stitch as this one, only done on double-sided, but with a single strand instead of a bulky weight. So depending on what you end up using in the way of yarn and what type of loom you use, you're going to end up with a different looking object in the end. You can do different patterns with loom knitting too. So this is an infant hat where we did I did some alternating colors to give you a stripe, and pretty simple, okay, pretty simple looking color changes that you can do in Tarsha with a knitting loom. The back looks, you're carrying the yarn in back so that you've got some long covers in back, but you can do some different kind of techniques with that. And you can also do some stripes. So this one shows you just how the stripes look. So there's just different projects you can do. You can all do lots of different kinds of fun things with it. So for those of you that are afraid to knit with needles, this is a way to do it without two needles. It's a good way to get your feet wet when it comes to knitting. Have a good day.